All right. Good afternoon, peeps. Welcome to today's not monthly design challenge. This one was just a Christmas one. So my name is Zaire. I am Chief of Vibes at Love Circular. I do some of the fun stuff behind the scenes as well as help organize this company and our mission to improve accessibility in tech careers for diverse people and people from underrepresented backgrounds. Yeah, today, my co-hosts.
Fusibi, I'd like to say OG, UX UI1, now instructor. So yeah, I am here today to help Zaire kind of judge the competition, look at the quality, the perfection, and yeah, ready.
Forgive me if I stumble over my words. English isn't my first language. Patois. Anyway, hey guys, this month, for this month's winter challenge, I chose to base my work on a site redesign for a Black-owned business. Ayeeyo, sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Ayeeyo Blends is a business that provides tea spices, and I thought this was fitting because what's better than keeping warm with a cup of tea? In my redesign, one of my main targets was to create a more effective user journey. To achieve this, I incorporated Hick's law, created the purchase now CTA button, call to action button on the landing page so the user can purchase instantly. This not only helps to prevent the user from feeling overwhelmed, but also increase sales. I kept the color palette minimal and went for black, white, and gray, mainly with the aim of creating a looks elegant feel. Nice. It'll help me draw more focus onto the product itself, helping to attract the customer. The business currently only offers one product. I wanted to draw attention away from that. To do so, I created some tabs and events pages so that it could increase user activity to the website. This really helps with engagement and allows for a sense of community. Wow, I love that. I tried to keep my work as inclusive as possible and took into consideration the topics of accessibility. The 3 designs I have submitted meet AAA color contrast requirements.
I mean, definitely they've looked at the contrasting rules. I mean, black and white, always ideal and perfect when trying to get contrast right. No, nicely done. In terms of things I like, obviously like the use of color in places, makes a lot of sense from my side. And yeah, no, great accessibility. Everything is quite legible, easy to see, should be accessible for everyone. So I'd give that a high 7.
So design. So we land on the landing page. It clearly explains Somali tea spices, and it has a little bit of copy. To strengthen this design, what I definitely recommend would be, if possible, make this stand out a bit more, make the image stand out a bit more. If you want to keep this text within the landing page in itself, put a gradient in place over some of the image and then put the text in the background or text in the foreground, sorry, but make sure it's legible. Main reason being is because it will have a more aesthetically pleasing look to it. I think what will be really good here from a UX standpoint, now the carousel view will go left and right. However, as you can see here, this will go, I'm guessing November will become December there, or what's before October, and it would go down sequentially. Now, to possibly improve this, because these are technically 2 contrasting ways to navigate a page. It could be overkill, but it may not necessarily be. But you need to put a bit more focal point on what you want the user to navigate with. As well as that, the logo's got a different color background. As well as that, behind here, you've got a different color background as well. I'd say remove the slightly different color background. As well as that, make sure the line that you pop in the middle of these circles are it's center aligned. This page, again, really nice. I'd give it a strong 6. There's areas to strengthen, but I can tell that this designer is still working on crafting their design eye. I think what could definitely help with improving will just be your practice. Honestly, there's a lot of skill here and there's a lot of potential. I think with great practice, yeah, you'd be in a great place in no time.
So in terms of story, so I really like the way obviously you brought it back into the whole wintry feel. I mean, who doesn't love a cup of tea, keeping warm during winter, for me, makes complete sense. I love how you've obviously taken on a brand that kind of only has that one product, and you've kind of definitely looked at how, their story kind of works all the way through. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Support Black-owned businesses. I like that. Yeah, so I think overall you've done very well in terms of capturing, I guess, the winter challenge in itself, in terms of looking at a tea blend company. So yeah, very nice. In terms of scoring, I think I'll go for a 7 as well. Hey everyone, here's my entry for Student Design Challenge. I went very on the nose with the theme and designed a Game of Thrones mobile fighting game called Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kingdoms, nicely named. I decided to mock up the loading pages, character and location selection pages, and a fight scene. I'm definitely not an illustrator, but I had a lot of fun trying to learn some of the tools whilst creating these pages. To create the color palette, I ran a couple of stills from the show through a color picker and used that as the basis for the visual design. My main aim was to capture both the bluey gray moodiness of a lot of the scene sets in Winterfell and a richer, bolder color of the scenes set in King's Landing, without it looking disjointed. I found that creating textured and gradient overlays to use across the design help bring the colors together in a way that just the solid flat colors couldn't. As someone who wastes a lot of Sundays playing fighting games on my phone, I never really thought about the potential accessibility issues that might crop up for other users. I tried to create clear pressed button states, which I found some games lacked. I also added in voice control feature for any users with mobility issues. So instead of moving forward or the sword icon, users could instead say forward or sword into the microphone. Overall, I tried to keep the interface simple, keep the options minimal, as the last thing you want to do when you're trying to play a game is be frustrated before the game even starts.
Game of Thrones, yeah, there's not much to be said in terms of accessibility on this screen. This should be more than fine in terms of AA compliance. I think these buttons are really nice, really well sized. I understand exactly where this design is going with, even their font choices or the typefaces that they've used. It's difficult because I'd say this isn't a very accessible typeface. However, given the nature of the game, it makes sense from a design standpoint. So I won't penalize on that. I think what I'd look at here would be how clearly and coherently our information conveyed. And I think Daenerys Targaryen, House of Targaryen, I think these things are really important, which is clear. Spacing from a UX standpoint is great here. Yeah, this is all awesome. If the buttons actually fight someone are more towards the bottom of the screen, it's unlikely that a user is going to randomly touch that bit, so I can appreciate that. Really easy to use joystick slash arrow keys. I'd go as far as saying this is a 9. You can't, this person can't go wrong. They've thought through so much. They've done well on accessibility. Done really, really well here.
So in terms of design, absolutely love what you've done with the theme. In terms of setting the mood and kind of really getting into those colors used, I think it's look very Game of Thrones colors to me. You set the theme in terms of obviously the era that you're going for, in terms of the colors, the gradients, the backgrounds. Very nicely done. I love the sheen of the buttons. If that heavily relates to the swords and stuff like that, that is perfect. In terms of things, I think the whole era is captured quite nicely. Obviously you had to use kind of, I guess, Game of Thrones Winterfell style fonts across the interface. I think that's quite good. You've nicely kind of run that through to keep with, I guess, the overall theme of it being this Game of Thrones game. Oh, very nice overall design. Not lying, but if I saw this on the App Store, I'd probably actually purchase it. So
yeah, I'd try.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, definitely, it is very nicely designed. So
Can I just give you one thing before you score it?
yeah.
If I'm correct, this person mentioned they done the illustrations themselves.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm definitely not an illustrator, but I had fun trying to learn some of the tools while creating these pages.
Ooh, bonus points. Ooh, I'm not an artist myself, so I can definitely commend you for that. Wow, that is very nicely done. Down to what, both characters drawn. Nice. So I'd like to score it a 9.
In terms of story, honestly I liked it. I'm trying to take my bias aside from being a Game of Thrones fan, but even from the perspective of how they started, it's a personal problem that they can understand and appreciate because they said, for instance, they spend most of their weekend playing games in alignment with the theme of winter's coming. I've seen what they did there with Game of Thrones. I've seen it. Even the title "Winter's Coming," our design challenge in itself, that's really cool that they managed to play on words and see where we were potentially going. I think, for instance, the ability to understand how to take from the actual show in itself and use those colors in context to the game design was really cool. Even them explaining how they went about that and why they thought that was worthwhile. I think it was applicable. One thing I would say here is there could be a potential problem if the game is listening to your every word while you play it. However, I think this is something that you get better at picking up upon as you become a more stronger designer in the future. Really, really well done for even approaching that problem and being aware and explaining. In terms of the story, that's an high 8. Yeah, that's an 8 for me. Hello all. For this month's student design challenge, the theme was winter is coming. I decided to create a food blog page to showcase some winter warmer recipes. I need that. I can't cook. I initially wanted to create an app for plant care in the winter, but I decided to go for a food blog instead. I chose this idea because I love food, and as well as we approach winter, I tend to stay at home and cook/bake a lot. I decided to build on this theme being at home during the winter as an inspiration for the challenge. I use a lot of images that reflect the food blog aesthetic, and these are more likely to appeal to users. The images I used also fit in with the theme of winter because they're seasonal. E.G. Example, root vegetables. Nice. As long as there's no parsnips. I'm not a fan of parsnips. I did some research into color palettes typically used in the food blocking world, and I chose to have quite dark colors, in keeping with the theme of winter. It also reinforces the feelings of being cozy. I also use small hints of red, as this is something commonly associated with the food industry. It evokes feelings of passion, desire, and love. I see. I feel you on that one. I kept the layout UI of the blog quite simple and to allow users to navigate to various pages on the blog with ease. Okay, smooth operator. I see where they're going. Let's see where they're going with this one.
Accessibility. So in terms of things, just looking at buttons initially, I quite like the red and white top left, top right for the subscribe. Accessibility wise, that should pass quite nicely. Only problems you may have is when you get to the image in itself, because the image doesn't necessarily have an overlay. Accessibility wise, you may have a few issues there. As we go down the screen, yep, black and white, nice little go-to in terms of accessibility, getting that right. Button sizing, nicely done. Nice little addition of pagination there. Nice little call to actions here as well in terms of printing the recipe. Accessibility wise, great sizing of the text. Would have loved to see a few different weights used here and there, just to kind of, I guess, improve what the user should be looking at. I think overall, nice consideration of accessibility throughout. In terms of a score, probably about a 7. I'd go with 7.
In terms of design, I get that this user is trying to work around the image that they've got on screen. What I definitely recommend for this bit will be putting a gradient overlay, black or like a dark color, just pop it over this image here, and then make sure it allows like a linear gradient as well, by the way, that allows for you to put this text here and this call to action more central within the page. Main reason being is because right now, if I landed on this page, I can overlook this really, really easily. Yeah, I'd want the call to action to stand out more. It is a call to action after all. Also, I think what you've done here in terms of spacing and alignment should be fine. It's like really solid. This might be higher than everything else. This dividing line here, I'm not sure what sort of rules it's following, because this doesn't line up with the end of the divider line. The divider line doesn't align with the end of your 4 call to actions for recipes, as well as that it exceeds that section there. So it's a matter of figuring out what that divider line represents, or where it should be in terms of uniformity. You've got your clear images here, which is perfect. They're laid out really well, by the way. This specific like tile isn't aligned with the rest. Maybe I think it's just a little shorter in terms of width in comparison to the others. What I'd do here is I wouldn't have the line break there. I'd just continue allowing the computer to align it the way it usually does. It's just the reading pattern thing that can be solved really quickly. What you've done here in terms of making this background even darker is really awesome, because you've clearly shown that this should be the forefront area here, and then this is a secondary bit. So yeah, really good job on that. What I definitely mentioned here is the spacing between this divider line and this image differs quite strongly from these other bits. I'd say make sure there's some more uniformity there, and you're making sure it's even. On this side, I think the text is too far away from the image. What you could do is you could just increase the text size and make sure it's a little closer to the image. Main reason being, there's a UX law which talks about making sure items that are grouped together are more grouped to show that they have direct relation with each other. This bit, I think it's good if you can just make sure these are even easier to spot as call to actions. I'd say there's areas that can be reworked. You've used sizes to differentiate these so far, so well done there. On this side, the vertical spacing is a bit high. From a design standpoint, I'd give it a 6. There's easy, quick tweaks to make that will strengthen the overall design. Once they're applied, I think this design has a lot of potential to be in the high 8s, 9s.
So in terms of story, winter is coming, and recipes, good combination. I think there is I say direct correlation. Who doesn't love to, attempt new recipes during winter time? But yeah, now overall, I think story is very good. Nicely done. In terms of things, food blog, obviously in terms of design, we kind of spoke about that, but yeah, nice little story in terms of using different colors here and there to, I guess, pick out the different elements related to food industry and winter. So yeah, overall, I think story, I would give that a 6.
Thanks. So I've been told, Kimberley, amazing work on the Game of Thrones concept, screen, game. I think you've done an excellent job here. Fusibi thinks you've done an excellent job here. Even Winnie's not in the back. She thinks you've done an excellent job here. Please don't go spending all your, is it Amazon gift vouchers, this one? Don't go spending all those vouchers at once. Thank you for taking part in this competition. You've done an excellent job today. We're proud. It's been a pleasure with this Winter is Coming Design Challenge. I've enjoyed today.
You all so much for participating. Great work, great to see. I actually always love seeing you guys work. Even you guys who haven't entered yet that need to be entering. So yeah, I think amazing work, Kimberley. I'll send you my wish list for Amazon as well. So yeah, thank you guys.
I hope to see you lot progress. I hope you've taken the feedback really well, and I hope you can continue to grow, and can't wait to see some jobs or doing whatever you want to do after the circular. Take care. Follow the circular everywhere. Yay. Woo. Bye.